Chris O'Leary with some concluding thoughts from Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm here out in front of the Cathedral Basilica in Knoxville. I was here just over there, 50 yards or so, on Friday, standing vigil outside the chancery of the Diocese of Knoxville. Standing vigil, not protesting. And in particular, what I was trying to do on Friday was call to attention and encourage the people of the chancery, the people who work with Bishop Rick Stika, and first and foremost, show them my support for their efforts to hold the Diocese of Knoxville accountable. Because it's kind of funny, I planned this, I came to the decision that I needed to come down here to Knoxville about a week ago. And there were a couple of interesting coincidences in the meantime. First, there was the disclosure of what happened in Gatlinburg, the filing of a lawsuit by Jane Doe, which encouraged and emboldened me and made it clear to me that I needed to come down here. And then when my decision to come down here was made, just a couple days ago, a couple days before I came down here, there was the article in the Pillar Catholic by J.D. Flynn discussing at length, in more length, providing new allegations about the seminarian Wojciech Sobczuk and exactly what was alleged in terms of his behavior. And one of the allegations that came out in that J.D. Flynn Pillar Catholic article were revelations of how much money Bishop Rick Stika has given the seminarian Wojciech Sobczuk for whatever purpose. I don't even know what that purpose is. Some of these are reimbursements, but the amounts are so large that you have to question exactly what the purpose of those payments was designed to accomplish, to achieve. But it does seem that there's someone in the chancery, perhaps the chancery, if not the diocese, who has knowledge of those payments, of what's being paid by the diocese and the bishop to the seminarian Wojciech Sobczuk, and God only knows who else. I know of a number of problematic things involving Bishop Rick Stika, things I can't discuss, but things that I've been made aware of, given that I'm in St. Louis and from St. Louis and actually live in Mary Queen of Peace, Bishop Rick Stika's first parish. In fact, I live maybe 200 yards from Mary Queen of Peace, and that's the parish that's nominally my parish. That's the parish I'm being excluded from, being shunned by. But that's also the parish that all my kids went to. So I have this knowledge of Bishop Rick Stika, what he did and did not do in St. Louis. And remember, I have personal experience with Bishop Rick Stika, which is one of the reasons I'm involved in and engaged with what's going on down here in Knoxville. I went to Bishop Rick Stika in 2018 for help and was psychologically abused by him, gaslighted, tormented, teased, led on. And God only knows what has happened to other people, what has been done to other people by Bishop Rick Stika, the Bishop of Knoxville. And I do want to make it clear to people that if you have been psychologically abused by Bishop Rick Stika, as I was, gaslighted, tormented, led on, manipulated, all those things, or worse, you should understand that you are not alone. I know that for a fact. You are not alone. So I came down here to Knoxville in part to stand vigil outside of St. Mary in Gatlinburg, which I did with Susan Vance, the SNAP East Tennessee leader, in a very successful vigil. We did get some pushback from people who, it seems like, have been fed a narrative in terms of their priest, Father Pinnacle, And we were frankly stunned that despite all that's been going on, Father Pinacle's name is still on the website and in fact still is on the marquee out front of the church. So Saturday night in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Susan Vance and I stood vigil. Me silent, holding a sign saying, protect people, not predators. Susan Vance holding a couple other signs, talking to people, trying to educate people about exactly what was going on and what can be done. We did that on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, held vigils in front of or before and after and during the 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 1 o'clock Spanish Mass. Vigils that we held, I was standing just a few feet, about 30 feet to my right, holding my sign, protect people, not predators. And again, this was a vigil, not a protest. I never said anything. I didn't speak unless I was spoken to. Susan Vance again was here, as was another woman who I don't know, but they were over on the bridge over there about 100 feet over that way, holding signs, trying to let people know, to let the people of the Cathedral Basilica in Knoxville, to let the people of Knoxville in general know about the plight and the problems facing survivors, the treatment of survivors by Bishop Rick Stika. And that gets into the handling of the case of the seminarian Wojciech Sobczuk by the Diocese of Knoxville and by Bishop Rick Stika. And I have personal involvement in that. I have skin in the game of that because Wojciech Sobczuk, the seminarian, is being hidden, has been relocated to my backyard, St. Louis University. Again, I'm from St. Louis. I live in Webster Groves, which is 15, 20 minutes from downtown, 15 minutes from the Cathedral Basilica. And Wojciech Sobczuk is studying at St. Louis University. And that's really stunning and shocking and really horrible, frankly, as a survivor, to know that a multi-accused abuser of men, an alleged rapist like Wojciech Sobczuk, the seminarian, is so close to me and poses a threat to the St. Louis community, the gay community, the St. Louis University community, the St. Louis community in general. It's absolutely stunning that the Catholic Church still, despite everything, would expose the gay community in St. Louis, the St. Louis University community, and the community in St. Louis in general to a acknowledged, multi-accused predator like Wojciech Sobczuk, someone who's been thrown out of multiple seminaries. I don't know exactly how many, but from what my understanding is, and this may be wrong, but my understanding of the history of Wojciech Sobczuk is that he was thrown out of a Jesuit seminary in Europe. He may have also been thrown out of a Jesuit seminary in the United States, as well as at least, I believe, 2 other seminaries in the United States. So that's 3 seminaries at least that Wojciech Sobczuk has been thrown out of for sexual misconduct, for sexual abuse, for sexual harassment. I don't know the exact specifics. The specifics are, though, starting to come out in the excellent piece, the excellent recent piece that I've mentioned by J.D. Flynn of Pillar Catholic. Wojciech Sobczuk poses a risk to really all of society. He's in St. Louis now and poses a risk to the gay community, the SLU community, the St. Louis community. He has posed a risk to the community here in Knoxville, and Bishop Rick Stika keeps him in the pipeline. To my knowledge, Wojciech Sobczuk continues to be in the pipeline, near as I can understand. My understanding is that Wojciech Sobczuk continues to be in the pipeline for ordination to the Catholic priesthood, which is unacceptable, much less the collusion the coordination, the cooperation between this Diocese of Knoxville and my own Archdiocese of St. Louis. That coordination, that collusion is unacceptable and is evidence of how little has changed actually in the Catholic Church. And that's despite all the talk. You've got the 2002 Dallas Charter, you've got the aftermath of the 2018 Pennsylvania Grand Jury Report, the 2019 Sex Abuse Summit in the Vatican, Vos Estis Lux Mundi, the Pope's supposed Bill of Rights for survivors. But what the case of the seminarian Wojciech Sobczuk, the handling of that case by the Diocese of Knoxville here and Bishop Rick Stika makes crystal clear, is how little has changed. I want to make sure that people understand that what the case of the seminarian Wojciech Sobczuk establishes and proves is how little things have changed. There's lots of talk, but the reality of the Catholic Church still, as of May 3rd, 2022, is that the bishop is able to decide, is free to decide whether to follow these guidelines, including guidelines put forth and promulgated by Pope Francis. And the problem with what's going on here in the Diocese of Knoxville, the reason why I'm here in the Diocese of Knoxville, is that Bishop Rick Stika, the Bishop of Knoxville, has decided not to comply with the Dallas Charter. He's decided not to comply with Vos Estis Lux Mundi. He's decided that he alone is able to decide and determine the guilt of the seminarian Wojciech Sobczuk, and Bishop Rick Stika has decided that Wojciech Sobczuk is not guilty. That is a stunning revelation, and it's the reason why I'm here in Knoxville, Tennessee, why I stood vigil on Friday, on Saturday, and on Sunday. This is about the protection of people, and the protection of people, of lay Catholics, of seminarians, of priests, of everyone in the Catholic Church, requires real, substantive change that is not happening. Vos Estis Lux Mundi, the latest pronouncement by Pope Francis in the Catholic Church, is a sham, as I know as a survivor, as the case of the seminarian Wojciech Sobczuk here in Knoxville, Tennessee has established. Very little has actually changed because Catholic bishops are still able to make their own decisions, to make their own calls. All these, advisory panels and everything are all well and good, but fundamentally the decision comes down to the local bishop, and local bishops still are deciding to keep in the path of ordination multi-accused predators like the seminarian Wojciech Sobczuk. That to me is unacceptable, and that's why I'm here, why I came here to Knoxville, Tennessee. And my message to people, my fundamental message to people that I want to make clear to people is this. Fundamentally, the future of the Catholic Church, the handling of survivors, the protection of people, children, women, men, everyone. And maybe the Catholic Church is blowing things off because Wojciech Sobczuk, quote unquote, only attacked men. I feel that abuse is abuse is abuse, and it doesn't matter whether it's children, women, men, or whoever who are being attacked. I find that all abuse is unacceptable. It all needs to end. And what lay Catholics need to understand is that the power to change things, to make change, is in your hands. Right now, Bishop Rick Stika thinks the power is in his hand, and his decision, his exercising of that power is to just excuse any and everything, any and every attack on any and everyone. Everything is blown off for whatever reason. Maybe it's the ontological change and the belief that that's going to wipe the slate clean for Wojciech Sobczuk upon his ordination. I don't have any faith in that because it certainly didn't protect me when I was a child, when I was abused by Father Leroy Valentine at the Church of the Immaculata in St. Louis, Missouri in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Abuse that was known of, that was witnessed at least in part by Timothy Cardinal Dolan, the Archbishop of New York. Catholics need to understand that if you want anything to change, you have to drive that change. The Catholic Church is taking your current silence as assent, as consent for their actions. Until you start to speak up, until you start to sound the alarm, to be the siren, to let the Catholic Church know that this is unacceptable, to wail like that siren, to wail like a siren, nothing is going to change because the Catholic Church thinks that you agree with what they are doing. And I know this is scary. I know it's difficult. I know that it's intimidating because it goes against everything that you were taught, how you were raised, goes against how I was raised. But the fact is that nothing is going to change until the laity of the Catholic Church starts to speak up. That's why I came here to Knoxville, Tennessee, why I stood vigil here, vigil, not protest. I'm trying to set an example for people, and if anything is going to change in the Catholic Church, Catholics need to follow the example that I'm trying to set. I still love the Catholic Church. I only have my pinky toe left in the Catholic Church, but there are aspects of the Catholic Church that I absolutely believe in. I have a devotion to Mary. I have a patron saint, St. Mary of the Cross, St. Mary MacKillop, St. Sister Mary MacKillop from Australia, who was an abuse fighter. I'm emboldened by Mary and Mary. I'm following their example in an effort to try to help the Catholic Church. I refuse to enable the Catholic Church. I refuse to allow what happened to me to happen to anyone else. I will be damned if I allow what happened to me to happen to anyone else. And I know this is scary. I know this is difficult, but I'm following the example of Jesus Christ. And I believe that Jesus Christ's example can guide us, can give us the strength that we need as Catholics, as lovers of Christ and the Church, His Church, to do what's necessary, to end the enabling, to speak up about what's going on, to speak against what's going on. If Jesus Christ can do what He did, entering Jerusalem on Palm Sunday to a certain and known fate, then you and I and we can do this. And it's not just that we can do this, we must do this for the people, for the Church, and for Jesus Christ.